Welcome to your Inspirational Astrology Horoscope for the weekend of May 9th, 10th, and 11th, 2014. I'm astrologer David Palmer, the Leo King, here to illuminate the collective consciousness. Check out my website, inclusiveastrology.com, if you want to download my May 2014 webinar that goes deeper into Mars coming direct, and it's called Start Your Engines. Also, my website, leokingevents.com, to join me at my retreat in Sedona, Arizona. We have roommate options available, so email us if you're looking for a roommate. And more importantly, we have a couple rooms at the discounted rate left. Check out leokingevents.com. We have an excellent weekend because there's a lot happening. Now, I say that there's a lot happening because we have some big oppositions in space. We're going to have some planets oppose themselves, and with oppositions, it really means we're facing things because the planets are literally looking at each other with Earth in the middle. But more importantly, this is the duality of things, because whenever planets oppose, they're in the signs that oppose. And that means they're kind of the same color, just two different shades of looking at it. And so we're going to go over what those shades are this weekend. And also, oppositions can mean oppositions, right? Like, oh, we're opposed at each other. We're in conflict. We don't see eye to eye. And there's a lot of things we're going to have to see eye to eye on. Let's start with Friday first, though. Before we step into this weekend, the oppositions are not exact till Saturday and Sunday. So Friday, the moon is also going to be finishing up in Virgo in a nice trine to the sun. And I think that Friday and the way we're coming into the weekend, we're in our power. You know, we're organizing things. We're getting our realities together. The sun in Taurus and moon in Virgo does a great job of really looking at what can we do to adjust our life, to get things manifesting, to get things moving. And I think that that's really excellent energy. Also, Mercury's been stepping into Gemini. Things have been speeding up, lots of questions. So there's been a lot of good energy coming into the weekend of maybe starting to get on track and an excitement. It's almost like you can start to feel something's brewing, I think, because when you feel these big oppositions starting to come, day by day they've been getting more powerful and angling themselves to come for this big opposition. So it's like you could be really excited coming into Friday, especially Friday night, as there's a feeling like there's these big things coming. Now, Saturday, let's talk about this. We are going to have the sun oppose Saturn. Now, the sun in Taurus is wanting to give life and bring the energy of our manifesting powers, of feeling the flowers, feeling our worth. Saturn in Scorpio is wanting to get down and cut to the bone of underneath, to the bottom of things, emotionally, get to what is the truth, you know? It really doesn't matter how beautiful the flowers are if the truth is you're dead, right? Because, you know, the whole thing about the corpse I talked about this week and putting perfume on a dead corpse and how it can't hide or mask the fact that it's dead. These two energies are definitely in opposition. Taurus is very light. Scorpio, I don't want to say is dark, but it definitely looks at the darker shade to bring light to things. So don't forget that Scorpio loves to bring light. So these two things are opposing, and the sun is opposing Saturn. The sun wants to be bright and be our core and be happy and go here. Saturn's like, let's cool it down, son. Let's get to this fact straight. And this is us having to face, you know, our responsibilities, which isn't our truth. If we're going to manifest here, we got to cut off energies that aren't going to let us manifest the truth. It comes down to this weekend. And I say that because now Mars is going to be opposing Venus. Now, Mars is in a retrograde, it's in Libra, it's in the last place it wants to be. Mars wants to be in Aries at home, where he can charge and go to war and say what he wants and get it and move forward with no hesitations. Libra loves hesitations because it's got to go, hold on, before you come in, did you weigh yourself? It's like when the trucks have to get off the truck stop and go to the scales, right? It's like, oh gosh, I could only imagine being a truck driver and having to stop all the time before I have to keep going. Like, that's Mars in Libra. When it's retrograde and stationary like it is right now, it's like, oh my gosh, can we just go, please? Like, oh my gosh, maybe there's so many things to weigh out. It's almost like the universe has put so many things on the table where the scales are. It's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do here? And with Venus opposing it in Aries, this is Venus, the planet of relationships. More importantly, it's the planet of what we love and what we feel good in and what we want to manifest. And this is opposing Mars, which Venus now is wanting to, I want to start to make things happen. I want this in my relationship. These are the relationships I want. These are the things I want to engage in. Let's go. Let's go. Let's make it happen. Let's do it. Let's manifest this. Let's go. But it's like there's all these oppositions. It's like In order for us to go and get the things we want, there's a lot to weigh out. There's so many things that we need to take action in, but we've got to weigh it out. We've also got to look at where are we saying we can't and where we can. So everything kind of comes to this weekend, especially as the moon comes into Libra, to trigger all this stuff, where we especially get emotional over what to weigh out, what to say, what to do, because Sunday the exact opposition happens and the moon comes on top of it. So these are going to be emotional things to face this weekend. Facing your truth, facing decisions. The Sun opposing Saturn is about big decisions. Are you ready to make them? And it might not be easy because there are these big things. If I want to get this, but maybe it can't happen yet. Maybe because I'm holding on to this sort of like weighing out, or this justice that needs to be served, or more importantly, I just don't know if I can. It's about facing responsibilities and facing the truth. It's about facing the truth first. It's easier to weigh things out when the truth weighs it out. When the truth comes in and goes, you're weighing something out when we already know how you really feel. So what's the point in even weighing it out anymore? Like, you already know how you feel. It means you don't want it. It's like, oh yeah, maybe I don't want it. You know, it's like, why are you weighing out rice? And when the whole thing, it's like, I don't even eat rice. I don't even want rice. That might be a whole game changer in your life right now. That it's time to stop weighing out things and face and manifest in what's valuable for you and the best for you. That's not even part of something you might even want, really. And when I say want, these are your desires that inside burn, that would pull you away from anything in your life, including grandma's birthday, and go in the corner and text about it, or go into the corner and go into it. It's that deep yearning inside. Where are you leaving to go to? Why aren't you taking the truth in and manifesting from there? The kicker of all this is Mercury is going to square Neptune this weekend, especially on Sunday, where we must not be misguided. We must start to logically look at the signs and not, as we face things, question ourselves and get lost in our questions, or even come into fantasies that don't even make sense. Although this is kind of a funny thing, because I think the fantasies are the right place to go and to logically see them right, because your truth will be so true. This is also about when you find your truth that you don't question it so much and think it's a fantasy. This is what makes it difficult and hard. The signs have been trying to tell you things for a long time. So this is where you must look at your past to logically calculate the right numbers. This could be where you're calculating incorrect numbers if you're looking at today and starting to be like, well, now it's okay, even though your truth doesn't like it, and even though you're weighing things out that might not be things. This is where we have a paradigm shift. Before I pull the card, this is also a weekend where extreme relationship stuff can happen. Venus is coming into the cardinal cross energy where we had. Venus is starting to come into a square with Pluto this week coming up. It's going to come over Uranus, and it's more importantly opposing Mars retrograde, karmic stories. This is going to bring it up. We got to also face how we relate in relationships. Are we using our ego incorrectly? But we also need to find what we want. So it's a fine line to not project our anger, or, put people down, or say things that, I don't like this anymore. I don't want this. It's more about coming in, I don't like this, but this is my truth, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate what you've had, and to move into that energy, to move into polite justice, to diplomacy correctly, but making sure you're still going for something. The problem with diplomacy, why warriors hate diplomats, is because the diplomats will sit there and scratch their butt for 5 weeks whether we go to war or not, when people are getting killed and they're dying. But it's like the red tape or the yellow tape can get too upsetting. And that's what I could see the other side of you. You have to see that there's these oppositions happening. And then the Taurus point of view is like, well, it's got to be nice and great. But the Scorpio is like, dude, if you don't even want to screw it, why would you screw it? So the card of the weekend is, oh my gosh, the Hermit reversed. Use your inner light. Do not get caught up in losing sight of what your inner light is. Use it. You have the inner guidance system, and it's right, but it's emotional and it's a light. It should be leading towards light. It shouldn't be leading towards weighing things out more, praying for the best outcome. The best outcome should already be right in front of you right now in your life, and you just need to jump on that road. Like, because I'm saying, the reason why I've been saying horoscopes like this for so long every day is because this was a portal that started on March 1st and ends on July 27th. So we are redirecting things in all the time in this period. So it's like there's constant adjustments happening. There's constant things to look at in our lives. And with the Hermit reversed, you have to trust your inner light. Maybe you're not bringing that in enough. Maybe you're not looking in this, but making sure you're not also faking it, or you're not looking at the truth, or you're not really seeing that there are actions you must take in your life to get the desires and to get the things you need, and maybe you're just not willing to do it. Maybe you're just going to just sit there with the red tape, yellow tape in the diplomacy aisle, and while people are dying out there and getting killed, not send the troops in. And we have to really look at all this weekend and making sure that we're not lost, as our minds might not want to listen to spirit. I logically think this is better. I need to stay in this because it's the right thing to do. When the signs are saying, we're trying to give you some cards here that when you play them, will bring you on the most magical journey of your whole life. So there is a lot to look at this weekend, especially our emotions. I think we'll go through a lot. And I'd prepare, because the biggest thing and the positive of all this is when it comes to relationships, some of the most magical things could happen this weekend if you're willing to open those doors. And more importantly, this is a weekend where you can face everything inside of yourself and in your truth and really see if you're on it or not. Check out my website, inclusiveastrology.com, if you have any questions or if you want to have a one-on-one reading. Thank you so much for all your support, and I will see you on Monday.